So you hear that communism has a larger body count than any other tyranny or government or whatever. At least that's what they tell me. When I came out of reading the New Testament and went into public school homework discussions with parents and television and teachers, they say that, the communists, they have the gulags and the death camps, etc. It's so bad. It's funny because gulag and goulash sound similar, and goulash sounds like a kind of food you wouldn't want to eat. It sounds like leftover soup. So this is going to be a video about how it's okay to commit atrocities. So when you when you watch Invasion of the Body Snatchers with Leonard Nimoy and Donald Sutherland, it's so scary because you're a weirdo and you don't realize it, but the premise that everyone around you would be monsters is a very easy to believe premise. Excuse me, sorry, 1 second. You know, you're flicking through the channels in 1995 and you see even 3 seconds, just enough so that you can know it's what movie that you're watching. That it was 3 seconds of Invasion of the Body Snatchers on a television channel, and you can't sleep that night. It's so scared. You're so scared. It's so scary. And omnipotent God, Yahweh, Yahweh, I am quite proud of how I've handled this obvious alien invasion that you call adulthood. The approval of the world comes like a dog sniffling up your pant legs. The dog has climbed up your pants to see if your underwears match your socks. And then when the world finds out that your underwears match your socks, the world says, like one very specific demographic of horny, messed up girl, the world says, you good. And you tell the girl on the train station, when you say that I'm good, it's offensive because I shouldn't have to be subject to your ideas of good and bad. And your expression that you think that it is a comfortable place for you to have authority over me in that way is offensive, but only from the standard of to call a black man eloquent is offensive. Only that we learned it from that way of learning things. Did you hear that? Did you hear that? You know how all day Adidas, all day I think of sex, all day I think of talking to a judge. All day I think of talking to a New York City judge who isn't going to be a goddamned retard in his behavior. All day. I was wondering why they were sitting there. They were doing nothing for like a full hour. They were just literally not moving. I only noticed because I didn't notice what I noticed. Until just now, I noticed that in the memory, the reason why I looked over was because there was complete stillness. Did you hear that? Agreement and approval as an attack. Because it comes in the form of something that devalues the objectivity of reality, where you exist. I don't consent to this conversation. I'm speaking to a recording device, and I'm imagining an audience. I don't consent to this conversation. I don't consent. I do not consent. Please disentangle yourself quantumly from this. There's a stage where the stage is called stepping. You need to get to that stage. That was a delayed laughter. I got delayed laughter from that delayed ghetto language. No, you're right. So they say that communism has the largest body count. It's funny, they never call it a genocide. How would a gigantic bunch of imprisoned and killed victims, supposed victims of socialist or communist tyranny, impracticality, sufferers of the impracticality of socialism, how would tremendous amounts of deaths not be considered a genocide? Well, if the ghosts of those people were also the ghosts of the people around you who decide what language is correct and what language is incorrect, they would say that they aren't a genocide because they aren't a people, even though they lived in the same general place and were rounded up the same general way. They were not a people because they never intended to have children and to continue existing, and they never intended to pass their culture to anybody. They were simply sufferers of the impracticality of communism. Is that you guys? Oh, they don't want to talk no more. Is that you guys? They're saying you're welcome, but also saying you're local. And if you feel like it, you could say that you're local, which kind of replies back to what we were talking about. There isn't a word for mass murdering a bunch of locals. Asian girl to my right goes like this. I wish I could do something with that smile that she just made. Are you guys the ghosts of the sufferers of the impracticality of communism? Me, myself, and I. She said she has three jobs. Me, myself, and I. Well, the background characters, they like to talk to you, and then they like to put you into a place where you really feel comfortable, and then they completely flip the script and retract their support, and all of a sudden you're offensive. If I wasn't committed to authenticity, I would have adapted and I would have disassociated from the behavior. And I wouldn't have noticed. You know, they say the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. It's also the definition of practice. I never learned to speak Spanish because I don't like sounding stupid. And I forgot. I didn't remember until just now. It's been a long time since I remembered how bad it is to sound stupid. So outside of this grocery store, there are pine trees. I don't know why. Certainly not for Christmas, for if those pine trees were for Christmas, then Amazon would have a, do you like this item? Do you think that there's anyone else in the whole world that would get you anything that you would ask for? Here, press this button and send it to somebody. And that button would be blinking, but Amazon doesn't have that button on Amazon. No, they had a share button, and now they don't. I can't find the share button anymore. I can't find the share button anymore. If you try to share an Amazon link now, it's this big, long, complicated, disheveled, ugly link if it's in a box. I don't know what it looks like in different shapes. I sent the link to one of my relatives, and the response that we got back was no more link of share on Amazon. No more. Yeah, when I was looking at the buildings in Seattle, I couldn't tell if they were getting up and leaving or getting down and situated. Couldn't tell. You want to see something funny? At nighttime, look at a silhouette that's either biking or walking, and try to see if it's walking towards you or away from you. It's funny because it'll be walking a 3.5-second gap for 15 minutes. Some guy said, "Hey, you, don't." I was like, "What do you?" Piers, Your Honor. Piers, Your Honor. Piers, Your Honor. Piers. As in a jury of. My poverty is based on a premise that there is such a thing as peers. And if you notice that not a single person looks like they feel the way that you look like you feel, if you notice that anyway, I don't know what to tell you. I want to go home. 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 Do me a favor, wherever all of that energy is coming from, that it's like, stop saying that or we'll go send you to jail. Love the shit out of that, wherever that energy is coming from. Love it. Love it. Squeeze it. Squeeze it. Squeeze it. I want to go home. 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 Yeah, you pick up 911 and you go, I want to go home. After the minority female is done screaming at you, is there an emergency? Look how not funny that shit is. Look how not funny that shit is. That shit is not funny. Ma'am, I hope that when I made the sound... Ma'am, I hope that when I made the sound of a 911 operator being aggressive, that it didn't accidentally knock that down with telekinesis. There's no one sitting over there. I don't want to talk to you. You're an enemy. You just announced that you're a bad guy in a story when you laughed.
Does that sound like the Joker?
No, you see, because I was stating that when you call 911 and there's a female minority on the other end of the 911. Oh, you're interrupting me. Oh, you're interrupting me. Okay, you're interrupting me. She's interrupting me. She's interrupting me. We know where that comes from. When they interrupt you, that means that somewhere there's someone that would like to get completely gone through, straight through, straight through. Straight through, straight through, out the other end like that. That's what they would like. I hope that you don't expect anyone to care about your problems in a world full of cameras where every single camera is recording all the time. What I was saying was that I was describing that when you dial 911, that the sound that comes out of the phone is very unpleasant and not encouraging at all. And it's almost always the same demographic of character, which makes it more unreal. And I pantomimed this kind, is there an emergency? Like when I dial 911 and then the thing fell down and there was no one over there. It just fell down. And you were laughing in time with it, like you were the character on the other end of the phone that knows what you're doing on the other end of the 911 call, scaring children who are calling for help. When you're a child in New York City, they tell you that panhandling is a crime, meaning that you can't even run out of your house screaming, going, help, 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 help. You can't do that. It's against the law. So, the disappointing thing is that after a while you know that there is no such thing as you behaving, and the thing that you think of is, well, whatever it is that's trying to cause me to suffer, it needs to get fucked. The disappointment is that I'm not doing any of the things. The bullies, if you survive enough bullies, eventually the bully's bothering you, and you're like, oh, this poor bully. Like a bull, like unto the semblance, continence, behavior pattern, social position of a aggressive, forward-moving, horned, I don't know the word for ungulate, an ungulate, or potentially a big man with a large penis who has a lot of uncommitted, I don't know what the word is, unmarried, out of wedlock, grunting, thrusting motions. Bully, like a bull. Like a bull. Like a bull. Like a bull. Sitting in the marvels in 4DX as the chairs that moved, it was so much fun that there was no mystery as to why you were not there. It was fun. And there was a lot of people that could see you if you were there. No wonder that you don't go. I sat, not really sitting. I was jostled around, and as I was jostled, as I was being jostled about in an enjoyable manner, I thought about you, and I said, "There's no wonder that why you're not here. It's so much fun." And I thought about people who would have fun, and I thought, I can't even. It wasn't that I can't imagine that people that have fun. It's that the idea that's attached to the idea of people having fun is another idea called overtaxation. 30% of the income tax of the American worker is taxed by the government, meaning that if you graduate from high school and you're not like super religiously determined to forget everything that you were taught, if you are not super religiously dedicated to forgetting everything that you learned the day after Friday, the test, if you just kind of remember some stuff that you learned, like your IQ is maybe 1 point or 2 points above average, not a super genius, not a snob, not a tyrant, not an elitist, not a freak, not a mutant, not an outlaw, not a criminal, just a little bit above average, not a deviation from the norm, literally the norm. At least 20% of the norm, between 0 and 25%, between 15 and 45%. And then I thought about you, but I did not know I was thinking about you. I thought I was thinking about people that can have fun, but I wasn't thinking about people that can have fun. Because if I was thinking about people that can have fun, I would be thinking that they are oppressed, that there is some reason why they are not going to the 4DX theater, when that is not the case. There is no one here except me, and even I do not exist. If you look too closely at everything, you will find out that there is no such thing as anything. that Asian baby is going to fall down and crack their head open because I'm talking out loud, and it's going to be a distraction. It's going to be a distraction, and his head is going to crack. Look, do you want to see? Do you want to see what do you want to see what I have to look at right now? I heard a little baby talk like they were from the ghetto with an aggressive attitude. It's not something that happens all the time, but it's happened enough that I noticed. I looked up and I saw that he was about to fall off. He's like, look what I'm going to do. If it happened, I wouldn't even laugh. I would look at the mother and we would both pause for way too long for it to be realistic. I just now realized the significance of a video that I saw the other day. The child steps out of the house and trips on the Amazon package. The mother steps out of the house holding the child's hand, and she trips and falls down on top of the Amazon package. The video cuts out just as the mother turns to the child and says, "Mommy is a dumb bitch." Mommy is just a stupid bitch. But you don't hear it. The video cuts out right before it says that. But I would not call any mother a dumb bitch. I would not call any mother a bitch. You could say that women are bitches all day and they retain the ability to walk on their two legs. They stay being human beings. They stay being that way. There's a war in my hair follicles. So don't tell me that it's one way or the other. Now's the time where you show up as a person. Yeah, look, you're male, you're covered in the aspect of independent power. Contradicting styles. Prison and Canada. This demographic and that demographic. I was at the Whole Foods the other day, and there was like a SoundCloud character, black man, one day into being a man, like 20 something, maybe 17, and he was sitting next to an Asian girl of accordant age between 17 and 20 something, on the older end, because it was late in the night and they both looked tired, and he had a bigger beard than I did, and he was fawning over her, and she did not look bored. Because if a man is fawning over a girl that looks bored, she would be looking away from him, and she would be expressing what we call disdain. But she did not have any disdain. It was as if there was no one there fawning over her, and she was just looking away, bored. And I noticed it because his fawning was very animated. His hands were doing, his hands were making a motion that was like this. His hands were on her like this. He was doing like a baby, whatever. He was kind of doing like a baby thing, but he wasn't really talking. And they were definitely together because she wasn't like complaining. He was talking to her. They were both sitting down. Their stuff was piled together. And it very much looked the way that it very much was. It looked like you were trying to prove a point because you're in control of the Matrix, and you put a black Jamaican migrant worker who doesn't have to work anymore and is sort of about 20% a cult, the way that most music and art is, and that he was almost like a thug, but you don't really know what he does for a living, and that likewise she was like one of these American Asian girls that likes all different kinds of music and socializes and talks like an American and such, and that these two people were sitting next to each other, and it looked that you could do that, but you couldn't make them actually work. You could generate it looked like exactly what it was, that you could generate it, but that it didn't make any sense. And I noticed it in a split second, and I kept on moving. And the only reason why I'm even telling you this is because as I was sitting there and everything was calm and chill, a Asian girl that looked like literally this girl, but this girl's dressed with normal clothes. A Asian girl that looked like that girl, but she was dressed in like, it's winter and I'm homeless and I've got like a blanket and like a helmet on top of a blanket on top of the helmet, and I got like 5 winter coats, and I look like I'm really old, and I'm screaming like I'm schizophrenic. But it looked exactly like that girl, and she looked like a little Tibetan girl screaming at the black guy that was with the Asian girl. And he was screaming, but she was not screaming at the black guy. The black guy was screaming at her, and the black guy was saying, "Don't talk to her that way. Don't talk to her that way. Don't talk to her that way." The black guy was telling the one Asian girl not to talk to the other Asian girl that way. Like mommy, you know? Mommy. Stupid. Mommy, I'm stupid. Good boy, you know, woof. You know, you're woof, good boy. Yeah. He was saying, don't talk to her that way. You know, when you're in the house and you're yelling on the phone and the dog starts barking because the dog thinks that the dog is the only person that's allowed to make loud noises in the house. So as you're yelling at somebody on the phone, the dog starts barking at you. You ever notice that? Like the dog thinks that he's the only one that's allowed to make loud noises. Now's the time where you're supposed to say something. Don't you know that you invalidate your ability to complain when you don't have a normal human conversation with all of these things? Don't you understand that? The last episode of Seinfeld highlights this fact because they leave New York and they get arrested for being neglectful of the social contract. And the last episode of Seinfeld ends with them sitting in a jail cell. That's it. End of story. Last episode of Seinfeld. Although I hear that there's these things called the Mandela effects, and they let you here comes my voice. Here comes my voice back again. And they let you Mandela effects let you admit a Mandela effect lets you say Berenstein Bears. That's the way it's pronounced. No child would read a book, nor would anyone publish a book named Berenstain Bears. Berenstain? No, that would not sell. So I have this sad Jesus, although he's not sad. I use the word sad, but he's an embarrassment. I have this embarrassment of a Jesus, but he doesn't look embarrassing. He looks sad, but he's not sad. He's an embarrassment. This Jesus is defined by how human he is, and so therefore, when he shows up, he doesn't even remember what it's like to be a carpenter's son. He has no intention of being soft and cuddly with you. And he may, and this is the scary part, he may be so tortured that there is no humanity left in his personhood, and he is just the adaptations wrought by abuse. Because if you can't do that to a human being, then he isn't a human being, is it? It isn't a human being if you can't torture it past its ability to function. Anyway, this tortured Jesus hates marriage. He hates housing. And his behavior can make it tricky because he makes it look like he hates crime, but what he hates is money. But he looks like he hates crime because he hates money. And the way that he hates money makes it look like he hates crime. Sir, could you come here? Come on. I'm recording myself, so you could be over here. You won't go in the recording.
Okay.
You reminded me of something.
What?
I was on the other side of the country. I was in, like, somewhere around Portland. May I tell you the actual city?
Sure.
Astoria, Oregon. I was in Astoria, Oregon, and I saw a young man dressed like me.
Like, just...
Dressed like me,
Yep.
but he did not look like me. And he had on his chest, he had a Ziploc bag with pizza from, like,
Fanny pack.
no, like a Ziploc bag, like a clear plastic bag with pizza in it, right? Like from thrown away, like leftovers. And he had strapped across his chest,
I think I saw that before.
and across his chest he had an AK.
So a slice of pizza and a gun.
He had an AK. He was just walking around the neighborhood with an AK on his chest.
Did he eat the pizza?
I think he was eating the pizza while I was seeing him.
Good.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
You remind me of that moment.
Why? What? I don't have a gun, but I like pizza. I really like pizza bad. What's the project?
The idea is that the people hate fun so much that it makes it easier to tax them at a unfair rate, at an uncivilized amount, 1/3 of their income. And it would be hard. It would be emotionally difficult to tax the people 30% of their income. Except what makes it easier is that they hate fun. And I don't want to make any friends.
What's wrong with big numbers and fun?
I don't know. I that's not my question. I don't. My question is, how do I get it so that when I go see the 4DX theater in regular life, the way I understand it, how do I get to be in a theater full of people who are enjoying themselves at least somewhat? They don't have to be having so much of a good time that I wonder if they're all cracked out. Just a regular amount of fun. The chairs are moving, the water is spraying. Or, if I can't have a world where people are having fun, then maybe God might fly out of the sky and give me like a badge and a document and say, oh, my bad, I told you that there was such a thing as other people, but it's just me. Whoops. All right. Astoria, Oregon.
Oregon?
Yeah. Yep.
Alright.
And I would have said hello to him, the guy with the, I don't know if he had an AK or a Kalashnikov. I don't know if he had a Kalashnikov, but he had a modern rifle. It was hanging around his neck. He had a big I live outside, and he had a I sleep with this on. And he had on his chest like a little, I don't know if the Ziploc bag was a part of a baggie. It looked like it was a part of a baggie on his chest, but he might have been holding it with his hands. But he it was like the
What kind of bag?
it was like the golden boy. It was the golden boy, the pizza, and the rifle, and his very serious face. He had a very serious. I think his hair was curly. But I don't remember. Of course, I do remember that he was golden and he glowed in the daytime. He glowed like this. He glowed like this hairbrush glows in the freaking light. That's how he glowed, like that. Yep.
That's crazy.
No, it's not crazy. It's something that physically happened. It's an observation. It's a memory. Crazy is you're worthless and that we're going to chemically hurt you in your brain to your ability to feel feelings. And so nothing that I do is that. Crazy is congratulations, we're all monsters and we're going to poison you and we're going to make your life worse so that you never forget that we're monsters. And my behavior is not that, not crazy. No. Memory is not crazy. Self-awareness is not crazy. No, crazy is hey, there is no such thing as a social contract. Here are strong men that are going to grab you and we're going to pierce your skin and poison you against your will. And you won't have to worry about if you were willing to get crucified. You won't have to worry anymore about whether or not you were willing to get crucified, because you'll know that you were willing and that you did get it.
Right, bro. Alright, I got it, bro. Look, brother.
It's very, very common, actually, even in scary movies, for the scary movie to tell the child, everything is fake, nothing is real, aren't you scared? And then the child goes, yes, I'm scared. Like in the movie It, with the clown makes the house move, and the doors become teeth, and the children become scared. But if the clown can make the wooden doors come alive and be teeth, then why should I have the fear that the physical integrity of my systems are any different than the physical integrity of any other system? If nothing is real, then why should I be scared? Why should I think that someone suffers when I put stress that I feel away by brushing my hair? Like someone's suffering, you're gonna bring someone, and you're gonna bring someone that looks like this. When I dare not offer to take him to the movies with the chairs that move. I dare not. I don't want to make friends, because if I make it, it's my responsibility. I made that thing. How are our friends going to survive in a friendless world? That's enough.